Moving forward, we should talk about two Japanese composers. And in many ways, Japanese composers made their mark in Western music, probably some of the earliest composers to do so. And perhaps the most famous of all Hyundai Umak Japanese composers is Takemitsu Toru. And Takemitsu Toru not only wrote concert music, he also wrote very sophisticated film scores. You might be interested in that. But let's talk a little bit about him. He did not know Western music originally, as it was banned during World War II and the whole era of Japanese imperialism. He was a member of the Japanese Imperial Army and was bitter from the experience. He must have been quite young if he was in the Japanese Imperial Army, but apparently he was in the Japanese Imperial Army at a very young age. Initially, he did not like Asian music due to his memories of the Japanese Imperial era. He fell sick after World War II. He could only listen to music when he was sick in bed. That's the only thing he was capable of doing. This was his first introduction to Western music. He is almost entirely self-taught. He began composing at age 16. Many of his early works were for electronic music. In fact, electronic music was invented in Japan at the same time as it was invented in France and Germany, but with no connection to each other. They both did it independently and discovered ways of creating electronic music. Interesting note. He did not use the influence of Japanese music until later in his life. That was because he discovered composers like Cage, Messiaen, and Debussy using non-Western music and felt that, oh, he could include some influences from that. The Japanese influence on his work is seen in his rhythmic and spatial timing, his sense of breath rhythm, this floating rhythm that you might find in East Asian court music. His pitch subsets, which are reminiscent of Japanese scales, and ornamented nuances, colorful timbre, and gestural intonation. So let's listen to this work by him called Rain Spell. Oops, excuse me. Good place to stop here. And then I want to talk about one other Japanese composer, a composer who actually started the electronic music studio with Takemitsu, and that is a composer named Kazao Fukushima, or Fukushima Kazao. Also a self-taught composer. and again started the experimental music group, the Electronic Music Studio, in 1953 with Takemitsu. Participated later in the Darmstadt Summer Workshops in 1961. And his music uses elements of no theater and gagaku, which is court music, and the gestures of shakuhachi. And this work, May for flute solo, is a great example of it.